a little different now, but with everybody knows y'all is Coach Bozeman, individually and together. How was it coming up as brothers? Ironically, we never talked about this, but how did these backyard one-on-one competitions used to go?
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, we really didn't play one-on-one a lot, but when we went to, I remember when we came home from the summer, and we had these. I had this weight vest, and that's when I came home, I used to really work at trying to get better. Like I used to run up and down Ritchie Road, and I'd be talking to myself and singing out loud. And I needed somebody to play one-on-one with. So obviously when we was getting ready to go to college, Mike Bozeman. So I would put the weight vest on and we played one-on-one full court. You remember that? We went over Walker Mill, but we used to go to Walker Mill Park, and we played one-on-one, and it'd be blazing hot. We played one-on-one. And the way I would make it still wasn't even. I would wear the weight vest.
You would wear the weight vest to balance out the scale?
Yeah, I would wear the weight vest.
All right, go ahead. You see some free throws.
Yeah, because I can make them all day.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's on tape. And that's on tape. Me not missing.
Hey, that's pretty good.
He let me do all the
talking.
He got his rhythm going. Oh, see.
Yeah, after you a pass, you were shooting the girls' ball for a while.
Yeah,
so.
thank you.
Are you really like getting your uncle? You really? Wow. A lot of loud rum on you.
I hadn't shot no ball. I hadn't shot a basketball.
You two can either answer this next question individually, or you can kind of, if there's some synergy or similarity, but the two of you ironically had phases where you were coaching, and then you somewhat abruptly had periods in your life where, okay, you were coaching, and you went through a period where you weren't coaching, and you had to transition, like, okay, the game was taken away from you for a little bit. You got to do something else. Can you all describe what that was like? You have to transition away from basketball to now both be back in yourselves.
Well, for me, it was a tough adjustment because when you're at a high level, you going. So when it first happened, my body I used to feel weird, like I had all this energy and I was ready to go, and my body was moving, but my body wasn't moving. And I just had so much. I would wake up early, and I didn't have a routine. Yeah, I didn't have a routine, and so it took a minute for me to adjust to that. For us anyway, like we sold the house, like we put it on the market, it sold like in 2 days. Like it was crazy. So I didn't have that time there to like deal with the shame that was attached to it of, the violations and stuff like that. And I came home. So for me, running, I shouldn't say I was getting ready to say running back. I came home to my familiarity, and for the most part, people here it was more open arms. It was more, man, come on back home, man. They did you wrong. They did you dirty. And clearly, I was culpable in it. So like, I have to accept the responsibility for that. But coming home kind of helped that. And but it still took me a minute because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then.
How was that challenge going from having, basketball every day, 7 days a week, every day of the month, damn near every day of the year, to then, somewhat similar to what players experience, where, you're playing and the next thing you know, your career's, put on halt.
Yeah.
And you didn't know whether you would come back into the game. It's like, okay, now I got to do something else.
Yeah. I kept exploring different things. Like I looked into buying a McDonald's franchise. I had overtures of being an agent,
I didn't really want to do that because I felt at the time if I did that, I wouldn't be able to get back in basketball. And my main thing was I didn't like how I left it. So it was this thing in me that kept saying, man, I got to get back. Just because I didn't like how I left it. And then over time, I didn't like how they portrayed me, and kind of took away what I did. So this is a little different than what the question that you're asking me, but it's part of my my transition.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't really even have a way to explain it. It's kind of funny because, I was a young coach and I've gone through that, and then really only older guys or more experienced guys have gone through it. So nobody could really speak my language. It was like I was speaking a language of my own. Now it's like people, I know guys that have gone through it, and now they understand. We speak in the same language, even to the point of, even if you take something like, and I know this is, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but how Obama's not the president now, and they're trying to kill his legacy. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. They're trying to kill his legacy and what he did, and they're trying to accentuate the negatives. And there was a lot of positives in what we accomplished at Cal, but at the time people were taking it and misinterpreting it, and I didn't have the platform to defend myself anymore. So that's why. So those sparing articles that would come out here and there, that was the only thing I had. But in order for the transition, what helped me was I took time. Oftentimes we're not afforded that opportunity. I took time to kind of get myself going and think about what I wanted to do. I remember something that John Thompson used to always say, and it stuck with me. He said that, we should be allowed to fail. Black folks should be allowed to fail. And I leaned on that. I made a mistake, but you could come back from it. And I read a lot of stories on coaches that had difficulties but overcame them. John Thompson was one. Dean Smith was one. Mike Krzyzewski went through it. Jim Boeheim went through the NCAA investigation thing that was a surgery. And those just some guys, but I read all that, and that gave me courage. And it was much like that transformation when you're a player and you're going, you know what? I'm not going to play in the NBA. So it kind of reminded me of that. And I try to look back at situations that I've survived, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna rely on that. When I transitioned from being a player to then I coached, it was kind of like the same thing. You know what? This is going to be my way, and this is my path. And I read this book when I was in college called The Road Less Traveled, and I read it over periodically. It's all torn up, but I still read it.
So Uncle Mike, how about you? How was that, having that transition from coaching to then no longer coaching for a while?
That's interesting. That's the first time I've heard that perspective from you, because our lives are totally different, and even when you grow up with somebody, you really don't know their story. But anyway, so to me, my thing is different because I already had another career.
Mm-hmm.
I was a police officer,
right?
And so I had a career after college where I was planning on doing that for at least 20 years before I could retire. So getting injured and even during that time, I was still coaching Little League and call myself giving back grassroots wise. So when I got injured on department, then that gave me opportunity to do it on a grander scale. Really never thought about going to college, coaching college basketball. I got my thrill and my taste of that by supporting Todd, following him around. I mean, when he was doing it at Cal, man, I don't know if you could see a bigger cheerleader aside from, of course, his wife and mom and dad than me. I mean, we were following around, driving all the way to Chicago to watch them beat Duke. I kind of ran on the floor now too, though. But anyway, so I had another career. I wasn't thinking about college basketball. So I had that whole police career thing, which was one of my aspirations coming up because of Stan. My cousin Stan was a cop. I used to hear those stories all the time, you know, and I could watch my cousin Barbara braiding his hair because he was going undercover. So that was the kind of thing that I was, you know, that was what I wanted to do. And so I got a chance to do that, but then I got hurt and got retired. So coaching was my second career, so to speak. So then when I got into the high school thing, I was actually coaching boys, and my daughter, Nikki, was shooting around. We was signing up boys at the Boys and Girls Club down Upper Marlboro. And Nikki was shooting around, and one of the girl coaches came over and said, "Who is that little girl knocking down those jumpers over there?" I said, "That's my daughter." And in college, I always said, "Man, you know, you coming, the girls look beautiful going in the gym. And then we coming in the gym, and they coming out after practice, you be like, whew, yo, man, that ain't the same chick I saw walking in there." You know what I'm saying? And he's like, "My daughter's never going to play girls, you know, women's basketball. You know, that's how they look." So I guess I kind of passed that on to Nikki, you know, unbeknownst to myself. I kind of passed that on to her. So she was like, nah, I'm not playing. And then the lady asked me, and I looked at her, and Nikki looked at me, and I said, "Hey, you can play if you want to." So then she signed up. And happened to be on that team was Marissa Coleman, a young girl named Denise King who went to Virginia, Ashley Wissenot, who ended up going to Arizona. So it was a mob, but they were all young. And then Nikki goes to Georgetown. So they was all young, and the coach was Marissa Coleman's father, who was a little bit, you know, indifferent, and that's why she's successful, but a little bit indifferent, and the parents couldn't deal with him. And he could be that way to his daughter, but he couldn't be that way to everybody else's kid. So they kind of, you know, asked him to step away, and I was coaching boys, and then they asked me to come over. I was like, nah. And then Nikki asked me, "Dad, can you please come coach us?" At that point, it was done. So that's how I started coaching girls basketball. And from there, I went to the high school. We went undefeated, that team probably for 4 years. And then McNamara came after me and asked me would I go there, our alma mater. So I went to McNamara, and then they was, I mean, underneath the bottom of the league, you know, so to speak. They was like the guaranteed win in the conference. And then from that point, man, I just built that squad up. You know, Nikki was into the AAU team, so everybody wanted to come play, and I built that reputation in the grassroots. So everybody wanted to come play with us, and then, you know, we blew McNamara up, man. Number one in the country, all that, and then college coaches was coming in the gym to recruit the girls. I still was never thinking about college, and then the coach at Wake Forest, gosh, dog, she gonna trip me. I don't care her name. You know, the coach at Wake Forest asked me, did I ever consider coaching in college because I would be good. They watched my practices and all that stuff, and a lot of that stuff I would go to Todd's practices and watch the kind of things he did and how he orchestrated his practices, and I brought that same thought pattern to the high school scene at McNamara. So we ran our practices like that. Robert Sabat is my guy, and so we put that thing together. He would point out young girls in 8th grade through his job. He was refereeing, and he would tell me about kids in different middle schools that were really, really, really good, and I'd go there and I recruit them as if I was recruiting in college.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I recruited them just like I got recruited, and I would go talk to the parents the same way, and that's how I built that squad up, man. And like I said, he's number one, and college coaches started coming at me. Then I started considering college. And so my first job was at Fordham University in the Bronx. And the guy was really, that's when I got a taste of how, I can't say.
Careful choice of words.
I can't say cookie.
Shit, you want to say? You was the wrong person.
I say.
I'm going to say what I want to say.
Right. So that's when I saw how disingenuous it could be at times. That was good. Yeah. So, but he really wanted Nikki and Antalia, who happened to have been living with us. So I took that job, and it wasn't what he said. Money wasn't the same. You know, I sold my house, so we could afford to pay off all our bills and go up there, and it not be any stress or struggle. So But the money wasn't the same. He told me I was going to get a car. I didn't get a car. All that stuff. So I ended up coming back maybe 6 months later. I called my pastor, Pastor Mike, and I told him what went down. He said, well, if you're on the Beltway and you're trying to go where you want to get to, and you're supposed to go to exit 20, and you take exit 19, are you going to stay on that road hoping that it leads you to where you're trying to go, or are you going to turn around, come back, and get back on the Beltway and go to the proper exit? Mm-hmm. He said, I'm telling you, you should turn around and come back. He said, you turn around and come back, everything you want, you'll get. So I told Wendy that, and which I really respect her for, because we was living up there in her area where she grew up at. So we turned around and came back. And she was like, that's what you think? I said, yeah. So we turned around and came back. And from then, Joe McEwen down at George Washington came and recruited me to come and get on his staff. So I got on his staff at GW and was there for like 4 years. And we went to back-to-back 316s. And when I got there, he told me, man, I need you to help me. It's a different generation of kids. I can't really, I hadn't been, we getting 20 wins, and we hadn't been out of the first round in so many years. I need you to help me with that, man. I need to get back to where he was. And I took that as one, he was giving me a great opportunity. Two, he took a chance on me. He didn't have to. I think he was already, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He was already that caliber of coach there. He had so much success at GW. He went to final 8s and all that stuff. So for him to trust me with that, I took that personally. And so we went about it, man, and I think that helped me. I think, me talking to Todd about how to be a good assistant helped me. And so we went to back-to-back 316s, and it was great, man. And then he came to me and told me he got an offer from Northwestern. In 2008, he got an offer from Northwestern to be their head coach. So he's thinking about it for a couple of days, and in the end, he decided to take the job. He thought for sure George Washington wouldn't give me that job. And he said that I could come with him to Chicago. So I told Wynn, and we basically was packing up. I said, but I'm going to, and George Washington called me and I put in for it. Now, he said I wasn't going to get it. And that's the word in the industry was that they wasn't going to hire another man. Particularly, they never had a black man as the head coach of the women's side. So I said, so I knew the odds. But my pastor called me one time, and because I had to apply for the Georgetown job. And my pastor called me one time and said, I'm looking for the next head coach at George Washington University. I was like, that dude don't make mistakes like that. I was like, get out of here, man. Stop playing. And then, lo and behold, man, Joe took that job, and they called me and gave me the job at GW. So that was big for me. So I know you're gonna ask that question, but so after that, now I'm out of that 4 years. I don't win. My story is different. I don't win. I go through some things now. The first Division I head coach to have a transgender athlete on his team, which I think crippled. Black coaches don't get that many opportunities. Black men on the women's side don't get that many opportunities anyway. So here's my opportunity. I'm gun ho, boom, boom, boom. I'm studying. I'm doing what you should do to be a great coach, and this happens, which divides my team. A quarter of them was like, wow, what courage of him now. And a quarter of them was, yo, what's that guy do with basketball? We trying to play. We got to make up for last year because we had a tough year. and another quarter was like, come on, man. It's good on that part. And it ain't got nothing to do with basketball, but what about us? You know what I mean? So it's tough coaching them. Having that kind of success with that kind of background. So I didn't get renewed. Some promises were made. I'm not going to go into all that. When I was going through this, some promises were made about giving me some extra years to recover. So I didn't get that. So I felt just like I had to reinvent myself when my police career ended, which was a goal of mine. I wanted to be a great cop. I had to reinvent myself after that. And boom, basketball. Okay, now basketball was taken away. I say taken away. You know, I had an opportunity, wasn't successful for whatever reason on that term anyway, and so I had to reinvent myself again. But it wasn't, for me after it was over at GW anyway. I come home, I'm thinking my family gonna embrace me. It's not like Todd left and went to a whole nother state. No, all this happened here. The school was here.
Right.
You know, the pub was here. You know, he was great in high school. He can't do it on the college side. Oh, come on, man. You know that was eating. You know how we are. As competitive we are. That was eating me up. I was like, man, I want to get back on that. And then, but also, so initially my family, I'm thinking they're gonna show me love, and they did show me love, but it was a come to Jesus moment. It was like, look, man, when you was here, you wasn't here. Only time we can spend time with you when we watch a film with you. It's like, wow. So that kind of was a shocker. So then, like your father, I set myself to spend more time with the family. And so I got in that groove with that, spending time with them. And then your grandmother got sick. So that really helped me in that transition because I'm like, where your father is so cerebral in it. He was finding out everything there is to find out about the illness, dementia. He was finding out everything about it. Where I'm hands-on, I'm going to do, whatever the plan is. So she was there with us, and it really took my mind off of the basketball thing for a minute, because even if I could get a job right then, even if somebody came at me, and people came at me, like University of Maine came at me, some other smaller colleges, small, JUCOs, all that came at me, but I couldn't go anywhere because I wasn't leaving my mom. Especially she was just getting into it. I could see her changing. I could see, the vulnerability she was having. She's such a strong woman. Always been the strongest one in my household since I was, a baby. My dad was my dad, but my mom, you always knew she was the backbone. So with that, I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't gonna let her down. So that helped me a lot, man. And then, so just past July is when she passed, and that allowed me to then start thinking about basketball again. And then what brings me to the high school scene is, Sydney was like, "Oh man, I'm the last one left, and you gonna leave again? You've been, you gonna go do that again, and you gonna miss out on my high school?" So she asked me, just like Nikki did, the star coaching women's basketball. Sid, it's almost like we scripted this.
Yeah.
But Sid comes and says that, "Can you wait until I finish high school before you go to college again?" It's like, wow. I'm gonna say no to that.
Can't tell her no.
I couldn't tell her no, just like I couldn't tell the oldest one no. I surely couldn't tell the youngest one no. So that's how I ended up back in high school.
Okay. How does your perspective being a coach change, or how do you view it as it pertains to the pay for play? Because you being a coach, it's provided a nice career for you, for the athletic directors, for the universities. Everyone is benefiting.
For you.
But how do you how does that affect your perspective on the pay to play?
Well, I believe that they should be paid. So I believe that they should get some monetary value for it. So to say how has it changed, it's only allowed me to see it up close and personal. The Pell Grant, when they started giving Pell Grant both semesters, that was a big help. Unfortunately, somebody like yourself wouldn't get Pell Grant. If your family makes a certain amount of money, you don't get the Pell Grant. So, but in those instances, if you don't qualify for it, then they still should be getting paid. So I'm not saying that because of the Pell Grant you should get paid. I'm saying you should get paid, period. But the Pell Grant helps some of those kids, and I've seen kids that get the Pell Grant and send it back.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of kids do.
They
got to send it back to mom, and send it back to their sister, or they got nieces and nephews, and the Pell Grant is gone as quick as they get it.
Yeah, so I think there should be some compensation because you're really kind of behind the eight ball in terms of
being able to have money to spend, to go out on dates and stuff like that. I know you're supposed to be focused, but you're still in college, so you need to buy toothpaste, you need to buy soap, or unless you just showering every day in the athletic shower. So I think the players should get paid. I think they're doing more things, like they allow you. When I first got in, they didn't allow you to bring the parents on the trip for official visit. Now they do. So I know that helps, and I know that helps ease the parents' mind. Sometimes you can pay for them to come to visit the school. So I mean, they're doing some things, but clearly it's not enough, because there's a lot of money that's being made, and a lot of people benefiting, like you just said, and the players aren't benefiting. So to answer your question directly, being able to see it up close and personal has allowed me to have an appreciation for them being able to get paid. And the people that's making the decisions, sometimes they are not out there, and they do not make those visits into those homes. And when I was in California, when I was at Cal, coach at Cal, we visited a home. I don't want to put the family out there, but it was down south. And I'm talking about, we were in a trailer, and there were roaches crawling around. I just kept doing the visit, and kept, but they were living tough. And you're sitting there saying, man, this kid goes to school. What's he going to do? Right. Yeah, his school is being paid for, but you got other things. You know, now they have nutrition stations. So like at Morgan, and you didn't even experience this. We have nutrition stations now where the kids, the student athletes, it's just not basketball, but the student athletes, you get meals after the dining hall, in between the dining hall. On Thursdays they get smoothies. On Friday nights, Mission Barbecue delivers. You could get chicken, you get different things. So now they're giving them other meals. So that's helping to compensate for not being able to have those funds. So, but if you start doing stuff like that, now you start helping them. But
start alleviating it a little bit.
Yeah.
What my last question, you know, when your name comes up, you know, Coach Todd Bozeman, of course, people oftentimes they mention Jason Kidd. You know, they mention Shareef Abdur-Rahim, Lamar Murray. I mean, guys that played in the NBA, guys that'll be, you know, Hall of Famers, or guys that were lottery picks. You know, even when I was younger, I remember you working with guys, working out and training, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. So these are all, you know, public figures, guys that have made it. What can you tell us about some of the great players that you've coached that most people don't know about? And how come they didn't make it to that big limelight like some of the other players, you know, that I just mentioned have?
Well, they didn't make it in the limelight in basketball. You talking about why they didn't make it basketball-wise? Because some of them have careers that are highly successful. You know one of them, Anwar McQueen. Anwar's been very successful. But to answer your question, basically what you're saying is what allows
what are some
guys to make it?
Some of the things that derail some guys that some up and coming players today can be aware of and avoid. Like how do some of the players go from playing in college and being successful to becoming, you know, a Jason Kidd, or even becoming, you know, NBA players themselves, to some of the guys that you may have coached that were great players but didn't quite make it professionally?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, you could be a great high school player and not be a great college player. You could be a great college player and not be a great pro NBA player, but you could be a pro player.
Like, I know you coached the all-time lead scorer at Morgan. Some guys that finished, you know, all-time leaders, rebounds, assists, etc.
And sometimes, and this might sound cliche, sometimes you just need a break. So sometimes you just need a break. Like somebody like Reggie Holmes, who you're talking about, he just needs a break. But for the most part, the reason why, well, I shouldn't say the reason, but a lot of times guys don't, like I tell guys all the time, and you've heard me say this, like I know what a pro looks like. Not a pro from the standpoint of his skill set. You know, it's not like who can't tell Jason Kidd's gonna be a pro. But it's the inner workings, the level of commitment the I'm going to work out regardless. I believe I'm going to put this time. Like, I love this game. Like, that's a whole nother level. I know you used to hear me say this to you all the time. You say, Dad, I worked out. And I go, oh yeah, but you ain't really work out. Like you guys, like, they got E.T. the hip hop preacher now, right? And I think he's the guy who was like,
you gotta want it as bad as you want to breathe.
yeah, you gotta want as bad as you want to breathe. Like that sounds crazy, but that's like I seen it in guys that go, I'm going to do this. Quinn Cook, great example. He wouldn't go overseas. I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm going to make it this way. I mean, he literally would say that. He wouldn't go, and he making it. Like,
right.
I mean, it's a different path, but he's making it. So I think that the real desire it's an innate desire in you to succeed, and it's like that in coaches. It's like that in any industry. Take entrepreneurs, the ones that go, I'm going to do this. You know, I liken it to one of the Wayans brothers, the one that what was that show in Living Color, right? And I remember he said he was talking to his dad, and he was at Tuskegee Institute. I think it's Tuskegee, but he was at a school, and he was an engineering major. And he said, you know what, Keenan Wayans. He said, I don't want to do this no more. He said, I want to go to Hollywood. He told his father. His father said, yeah, but don't you think you want to stay there so you can don't you think you want to stay there so you can have something to fall back on? He said, that's the key there. I don't want to have something to fall on. Yeah, I don't want to have something to fall. So when I tell you that, I'm saying that, like, stuff like that, like, that's like, when I hear stuff like that, like, it like really speaks loud to me, because I know that I seen that. And that's, to me, sometimes you ask me, sometimes that's a difference in them guys. Like, they really like this is going to happen and nothing gets in the way. This is going to happen.
It's funny you say that. I hate to interrupt you, but you say that, man. I seen that too. I seen that when you did it. When you was at Federal Express, and you was like, and you had a car note, you gave up it all so you could pursue coaching. So it's funny you saying that you seen with that. I've seen it too, Bob. I've seen you do
it. Yeah. I mean, you see actors do it. You hear actors' stories about how they lived in their car. Steve Harvey lived in his car. Like, how bad you really want it. Like, because people say they want it bad, like, but they don't really want it. Even when kids get ready to go to school, you ask that question. You know, guys, and you know this, because you know this from you lived it and experienced it. And guys say they want to come to school, and they say they want to work hard. And I always tell guys, you say you want to do it, but understand this is way harder than what you think. And then it's a commitment, and you have to be able to sidestep the parties, the sidestep. Now, there's what catches guys is there's that small percent of guys that can do all of that. That can party, that can come back and then work, and they just got it in them. They just got the motor and that confuses people, because they go, well, he can do it. Why can't I do it? But you ain't built like that. You know what I mean? If you ain't built with that kind of drive, then you gonna get left behind. You know, it's no different than, just think about yourself in school. There's some classes where you had to study, and some classes you didn't even have to study. And you could stay up all night and you ain't studying. And there's that kid that studied his head, and he look at you and you're like, man, I was at the party last night. And then they go, well, I want to do that. You know what I mean? You got to be comfortable with yourself and know that this is what I want to do. So to answer your question, like, that sometimes it's just that drive. Sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes it ain't your time. It ain't your season. And these guys that go different routes. I know Darrell Armstrong that played in the NBA for a long time. He played in every league there was. The World League, the Global League. Sure was. He played in all kind of leagues.
He really played.
U.S. Basketball. Like, he played in all kind of leagues. Sometimes, and that's a guy who he just said, man, I'm going to keep going. I remember when Steven Jackson wasn't in the NBA, and he came, and I remember Mike Brown brought him to my house to work him out. And he was like, I just want to get a chance. And ended up, you get a chance. But sometimes you don't know. So it's all about how bad you want it. That sounds cliche, and sometimes it's just about, you have to be able to me, guys have to be able to make mistakes. You know, I would say that when guys go to school, sometimes you have to be able to grow and make mistakes. And sometimes guys handle it better than others.
I think we're good.